Okay, I'm going to do a reply of this guy right here. I've taken some clips and put them together, and I'm going to play it and break it down for you. What you're looking at here is typical of our today's society. It really is. He's not no agent or plan or anything like that. He's just an egomaniac. That's right. He's like so many people. His ego. He's controlled by his ego. Okay, and because he's controlled by his ego, he will deceive you. He will tell you truths. He will talk about shit he knows nothing about. And he'll also lie to you. He sure will. He's a mixture of what we have in today's society. He's a prime example. When I said we live in the zombie apocalypse, I wasn't joking, you know. Yeah, he ain't been on YouTube all that long. He's got a lot of subs. Well, of course he would. Because he's quite asleep. I already make a statement about Trump. The reason people don't like Trump is because he's the father figure. He puts people in their place. And nobody likes to be told and put in their place because he's a father figure. This is what this guy believes Trump is. A father figure. Yep, sound asleep at the wheel. Hasn't a clue of what's going on in society at all. Hasn't the first clue. But what he does know is he's an egomaniac and he's run by his ego, controlled by his ego, and this is one of the reasons I put power and greed. Absolutely corrupt the human mind, and everybody knows that. But there's another name that's added to power and greed, not your ego. Because your ego absolutely corrupts the human mind just as well as power and greed does. So I'm going to play this, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, and I'm going to let him tell it himself, okay? I'll point it out, you'll see it, you'll get to witness it, and you'll see that the guy's not exactly honest. Of course he isn't. He can't be. He's got to protect his ego. So let's go on.
I run my own little online business. I buy and sell stuff for a living. I pretty much do like, men's clothing, vintage items, just kind of cool guy stuff overall. And I'm going to put a link up in the description. I haven't done that in a little while because of fear of repercussions on some of my videos, but this time I'm going to throw it up there. So if you can help me out and jump on there and take a look, maybe you see something you like and grab it, but all kinds of cool stuff in there.
Yeah, he's trying to get you to give him some money, to make some sales so he can make some money. Okay? That's typical. We see that all over the place. And I got nothing against somebody wanting to make a living if he's trying to do his own thing. And I'm not going to ridicule him for that. But I was thinking of something else. Okay, this guy here had mentioned, God, then it just runs right out of my head. I hate that crap. Anyhow, it'll come back to me. So we'll go on until it comes back to me. How's that?
So the summertime, my business gets a little up and down, and right now I'm on a little bit of a low side of my business, so I haven't been super busy online. And in order to supplement that, I've been driving for Lyft. So far, so good. I mean, to be honest with you, most of the people that I've dealt with have been really, really good people. I've talked to a buddy of mine who did this full time. He drove for Uber full time. So he gave me a lot of pointers of like times of day and things like that to avoid the trouble. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I get a little worried, especially when it comes to women. I get a little bit worried about picking up a single woman and driving her somewhere and having her say that something happened. And you see it all the time with Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, that these women just make these accusations against them. And there's, you read the stories and they're just so hollow. There's just no facts or no proof of anything. I just read one the other day where they arrested a guy who apparently followed these two women into their hotel room. And so they went into the hotel, past the front desk, up to their hotel room, scanned their card, had him come in the room with them, and in the article it said that they did not invite him into the room.
Right, so what he's telling you about is his fear, his paranoia. And he obviously read a propaganda article that's meant to keep us divided and keep us fighting. This is also one of the reasons this guy would be a good candidate for lots of subs. Because when you live in a zombie apocalypse, and you're like this guy is. It's like you're one of the zombies. You believe everything that's fed to you. And this last, first off, he has the paranoia that he's going to be accused of rape. Okay? Yes, we have women that accuse guys for rape. There's no doubt about it. But there's more men out here, even like myself, that's lived their life, that's been around women they didn't know. I mean, I drove yellow cab. So he's talking about he's driving for Lyft. I drove yellow cab for 4.5 years up to the owner died. Okay, and the business got taken over by the other. But anyhow, when up until the owner died, I drove it for 4.5 years. I worked on the cabs, and I drove the damn cab 6 days a week. The only time I wasn't driving is I do 5 days is when I was repairing cabs. Other than that, I was driving, and I was running 8-9 hour days running a cab. And I was going in, at 4 in the afternoon and getting off at 2 a.m., 2:30 in the morning after the bars closed. And believe me, I dealt with lots of public, hauled lots of women in my cab. And out of 4.5 years of full-time doing this stuff, never, ever once was I ever accused of rape or sexual assault, okay, of any kind. So what you got is somebody who's paying attention to the media a little too hard, not using reality, and has a paranoia going on. Now, I don't blame him with all the evil that we have going on in the world for being careful around women. Oh, definitely. Definitely, okay? I don't blame him at all for that, okay? But he's taking a little overboard, he's paranoid, and if he preaches this stuff on here, some other people are going to be paranoid, Yeah, we live in a very wicked society. Women are very evil in today's society, but so are men. Okay, so let's go on.
But they did not ask him to leave. And at the end of it all, the guy got charged with rape. So,
right, I mean, that story right there, if you can't tell that's a fraudulent story, come on. You're going to tell me 2 women go into a hotel, this guy off the street that don't even know him is going to follow them into the hotel, past the clerk, up the elevator, to their room. They're going to open the door, not notice this guy's following them, right? And walk right on in with him, and then they're not going to ask him to leave. But then they're going to accuse him of rape. If you can't tell somebody pulled that out their anal and there ain't no truth to that story, there's just not really any help for you. I'm sorry. This guy obviously is too slow to understand that that was propaganda. That never happened. That's not even reality. It never happened. But he's scared that it actually happened.
I worry a lot about that. I worry about the fact that, I got kids, I got a business. I got to worry about myself whenever I'm doing this and play it safe. So typically, I do mornings. I do weekday mornings. The pre-work rush works really good for me because those people are cool.
This comes in right here. This is what I'm talking about. This comes into being paranoid and falling for the fear porn that's put out in society. Yes, to keep you scared. Because if you're scared, you don't fight back. If you're scared, you don't use common sense or thinking skills. If you're scared, you're easily controlled.
They're just getting to work. We're banging them in and out, dropping them off. It's simple. And then I'll do a night run on the weekends, but I try to be done by about 11 o'clock, just for the simple fact that I don't want to be out there past midnight. When all the drunk people start getting out of the clubs and, they're going bananas and they're completely hammered and they hit last call and took a whole bunch of shots real quick. And I try to avoid that crowd just because I've heard stories. I actually, one of my first jobs I ever did with Lyft, I drove a guy who drove for Uber full time. And he explained to me a story about he had a girl that got in his car. Well, he made a new roll up that if you are hammered drunk when you get in the car, you have to bring a buddy because he's gotten screwed too many times where, they dump a drunk friend into the back of an Uber and have the Uber take him home, and he can't get the person out of the car. And he's he goes, oh yeah, I had to help a girl one time get out of the car and get up to her house and get into the house. I had to unlock her door for her and help.
He's not lying about this. This does happen. I've had many cases myself where somebody's so drunk in the back you can't get them out of your car. I had a guy literally fall over, man, and fucking I'm driving yet. Next thing I know, I see the feet in the air. And I'm like, really? And I get to where I'm going, and the guy's just, he's just laid fucking out across the damn seat with his feet tucked up in the air and his ass off the seat towards the floor, and the guy was so drunk, he just couldn't even handle himself, and it was a guy. And I spent a while getting him out of the car, but I could understand in his situation, if it was a female that done this, yeah, I'd probably do the same thing. Call law enforcement, let them remove him from the cab. Because you don't need any false accusations because you removed him. Well, he touched me here. Or he done this. Okay? That part I could agree with. But overall, no, it's fear porn because I'm sorry. I drove cab for a lot of years. I've dealt with the public. I worked in motels or hotels as the maintenance engineer for a long time too. On top of remodels. I've been around. The majority of Americans don't get accused of rape by a female or false accusations. The majority. Although it does happen, so you have to be very careful around women. So I'm with him on being careful, without a doubt, okay?
Her onto the couch, and she wanted me to help her take her shoes off and stuff, and I'm just shaking my head at this guy like, you're nuts. You are nuts. If I did that, if I had a girl in my car that couldn't get out of my car, I'm calling the cops. I'm going to say, hey, look, I'm not touching this girl. I'm not moving. I'm standing outside the car. You need to come get her out of my car because I'm not taking any risks. That's the world we live in today. You cannot take any risks when it comes to dealing with women. And it's only getting worse and worse. It's hard. It's really hard.
No, I agree with that. That's the division. This is divide and conquer. This is exactly what they've done. And he is making correct statements because we have pampered, spoiled, and put women above ourselves. We sure have.
Guy's life could be completely torn apart. So, last night, the first job I get for the night, it's about 9:30, somewhere in that range, so it wasn't like super late. I go over and I pick up this girl. I'm waiting outside the house, and she's taking a little while to come out. And, she finally, I see her walking out to the car. Not a bad-looking girl. Decent shape, not a pig like most of them are these days. Had a little bit of makeup on, actually had herself somewhat put together. Jumps in the back seat. We start driving, and within minutes, I could just smell she was drinking. She was boozing up hard. She was going out to meet up with some work friends, and I could just tell that she had the pregame going on. And I don't even think we made it off of her street yet. And she goes, "You're really cute. Do you have a wife?" And I just said no. She goes, "Do you have a girlfriend?" And I said no. I said, I'm single for life. And she goes, "You're really, really cute again." And she goes, "I really like your beard." Who doesn't? So
who doesn't? I don't. And I could think of probably about 100,000 women, if not even 1 million women, or 2 million women, or 5 million women that probably may not like your beard. That's called being self-conceited, by the way.
Instantly try to change the subject, right? So I'm just like, "Oh, what are we going out to do tonight?" And she goes, "Well, I'd like to be doing something with you." And I'm like, again, I'm going to change the subject. I'm not trying to deal with this chick. So I said, "Where are we heading?" "We're heading to this address." I verified the address. And I said, "Who are you meeting up with?" And just trying to get her off of, I just didn't want it to be that awkward conversation. We had like a 15-minute drive or so. So I was trying not to, have it be super weird the whole time. So she tells me she's going out with her friends from work and that she's, I try to keep the conversation rolling off of any type of subject of me and her or whatever. Because she starts asking me, she goes, "Do you want to make out with me?" And I said, "No, I don't want to make out with you." And then it's instantly, "Why am I not attractive or whatever?" I'm like, "No, you're a good-looking girl." I said,
No, there's a chance he's telling you the truth here. I know some people are going to say, women don't just throw themselves at guys like this. Well, if she's already drunk, she may not be throwing herself at him, and she may, I don't want to call him a liar on this, so I'm not going to, because this could have very well happened. I was working on a remodel, and I finished the inside of the downstairs. It was a two-story home where the downstairs was turned into an apartment and the upstairs was turned into an apartment with its own staircase and entrance. And I'd done remodeled the inside, and I was out finished, and they wanted the entire house painted on the outside. And that was the last step before I left that job for good. And there was a prostitute that lived upstairs. I knew nothing about it. And this gal stood up there on the deck on the second floor looking at me while I was working. And she started acting like a little child going, I make more than you make. And I just kept working, ignoring her. And she's looking down at me. I make more than you make. And then pretty soon she says, hey. And I just kept working. She says, hey. And I looked up at her and she says, you want to have fun? Come on up. I'm serious. I'm not bullshitting you. I'll take you in that house right now, man. I'll strip you down and do you. And she literally said this to me. And I looked up at her and said, no thanks. And I went back to work. And right after I said that, she started screaming at the top of her lungs, all angry at me. Saying, what, I'm not good enough for you? Which is basically what he said here. Okay? Yeah, so I don't doubt it. There's a chance this actually happened. Okay? Unfortunately, people get alcohol and drugs in them. They do stupid shit they wouldn't do otherwise. But then you can't trust it. So I would be with him on that. If this actually happened to him, he took her up on it, he could be standing there in court, picked up by the cops. Easy. You don't know her, okay? So no, I would be with him on that. And that's not paranoia there. That's just the fact you're talking about females that have been put on a pedestal their whole life. Feminist movement who claim they live in a rape culture. And when you look at the corruption of society as a whole, I would agree on what he's saying right here. I really do.
I choose not to do those types of things. And I said, like I said, I'm single for life. And I actually told her, I said, I follow a style of life called MGTOW. And it stands for men going their own way. And, I take it to the extreme level of I keep all women out of my life, too. I said, it's been at least 2 years now since I've been with a woman.
And I don't believe that part, okay? I hate to say that. Now, I think he is keeping women out of his life because he's being turned down. Okay? I don't care. He says he's got a couple kids. Well, if he's got a couple kids, he has an ex-wife. Unless she's died in a car accident or something tragic has happened, which I haven't heard, so I don't know. He would have an ex-wife out there who may come around to see her kids, then why does he have the kids? So there's a couple question marks there. I had my kid, but we'll get that a little later on in the video because he's got something he's going to put out here, and I'm going to talk about that then.
And that's all by choice.
Now, child support gets a little bit more crazy because let's say that even if your custody agreement is a 50-50 custody agreement, which doesn't always happen, there's a lot of states where it doesn't, you could still be responsible for paying her for child support. And it says here that child support has nothing to do with how much time each parent spends caring for their children, and instead has everything to do with which parent has the higher income. So yes, technically speaking, if she makes more than you, she can possibly have to pay you support or alimony or anything.
And sometimes it don't even have to go there. Okay? First off, the courts do side with the females. There's no doubt about it. I experienced it myself when I divorced my ex with my son. Okay? The judge was immediately flipping everything that was done in the paperwork around and handing the custody over to her. He did not ask no questions to why we were divorcing, what led to the divorce, what did I do, what did she do. He didn't care about what happened between us at all. He just looked at her as the female and the child's going to her, and she flipped out on him. And when she flipped out on him when he tried to hand her custody, then he left the paperwork just as it was and handed me custody. And then he ordered her to pay child support because whoever has custody does pay the child support. Now in 50-50 cases, the guy still pays the child support. If there's 2 kids, because I know this to be fact, if there's 2 children and she has one and you have one, you still have to pay her child support for the kids she has. She don't got to pay you child support, but you'd have to pay her child support for the kids she has. because women are children, you know, they can't raise and take care of children without the guy's money. That's no lie. That's factual, okay? This is the reality when it comes to child support. It's centered towards men, but in my case, it was court ordered against my ex. And there are women who will pay child support. And that's no lie. That's government done. That's right up there at the top, and it applies to all states in the United States. So you're not getting around that. If you deny child support and your children ever need any kind of medical assistance from the government, they don't qualify because you denied the child support.
Those things. But let's be honest, when we look at the real world, most women do not take the types of jobs that pay more than the man. Typically, the man is the one making the money.
And this is a misconception. He's talking about old school now. Yes, he's right. A lot of women don't take jobs that men do that are more hardcore jobs or more this, more that, right? He's right about that. And then women will make more. But it's not so that women are making less than men. The wage gap is a myth. And there's a lot of women that are in high positions on jobs. There's a lot of women who are in management positions making more than the employees. There's a lot of women in today's society out earning the men. And that is no lie. That's factual truth. So, you know, but he's going back to history here thinking blah, blah, blah. Listen to this.
The woman is the one doing more of the household, duties. That's how a marriage should work. That's how a successful marriage worked back in the day. That's
back in the day. You mean back before you were born? Yeah.
Why we're failing now is because we don't want to put in those equal amounts of time of, responsibilities at home, responsibilities at work, and making money and putting them together to make a family.
He had some good points there. Now let's listen up.
What? Nursing? Not that great of a job. And they think that if they, go to school and they get these higher up degrees that they won't have to wipe any asses. I'm here to tell you right now, it don't matter what level you're at as a nurse, you're wiping some ass. I had a buddy whose wife was like one of the top heart surgeon in the area as nurses, and she was one of the top ranked nurses you could be. And she said,
now, the reason I showed you that part is because he said, and she is one of the top ranked nurses that you can be. Okay, so why did I put that part in here? Because this guy clearly doesn't know what he's talking about. This guy clearly doesn't understand what he's talking about at all. He's talking about a topic he knows nothing about. And he's breaking it down for you, and this is what a clown does. This is where he became Bozo the Clown. Okay? So you would start off as a CNA. That's right, Certified Nurses Assistants. This is where the starting point is for most people. You will go do classes on this and have to pass a test. And then you have to move up and you want to pass out medications like you're working in a nursing home. Then you have to study and do another test to be certified in order to pass out medicines. Then you will go to college while you're working as a CNA, and you will study and become an LPN, a licensed practical nurse. Okay? You'll have to pass all your tests, blah, 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 to become a licensed practical nurse. From being a certified nurse's assistant to a licensed practical nurse. Now there will be an increase in your pay. And believe me, the increase in the pay is not what he's telling you. This guy is going by propaganda articles that don't tell truth, and he's not awake to reality. So, you become an LPN. Your pay goes up. You make good money. Now, you have to be an LPN for so many years. I forget how number of years you have to be. There's a number of years you have to be a licensed practical nurse before you're allowed. And then you have to school yourself again and test again to become an RN. Now, see, that's the top of the line nurse. He didn't even know the categories. It was just, right here he told on himself that he didn't know what he was talking about.
As a nurse, you're wiping some ass. I had a buddy whose wife was like one of the top heart surgeon in the area as nurses, and she was one of the top ranked nurses you could be.
She was one of the top ranked nurses you can be. Do you catch how he said that? Top ranked nurses. No, it's because he knows nothing about the medical field. He don't know what he's talking about. Okay, nurses start off simple. CNA, Certified Nurses Assistants. You know, you got women and men who do this, mostly women, but some men, and they will go become a certified nurses assistant. They'll do classes, do testing, they'll pass. They can do that, okay? Then a lot of times these people work in hospitals or nursing homes with the elderly. Then, like I told you, then you would go to college, get a career as a nurse. So you have, the next step is the licensed practical nurse, an LPN, okay? And you have to go to college for that. You have to pass all the testing for it. And as long as you've done all that and spent the money and you pass the testing, you will become a licensed practical nurse. Then after so many years of being a licensed practical nurse, you'll go back to school again. And there you go. This is what I'm saying right here. These last words.
Heart surgeon in the area is nurses, and she was one of the top-ranked nurses you could be.
One of the top-ranked nurses you could be. Oh, by the way, that's called an RN. That's called a registered nurse. And a registered nurse makes really good money. No lie. But when you listen, that was his video on the wage gap. When you listen to what he talked about nurses, he led you to believe that nurses make less money, that nurses don't pay that much, and he clearly don't know what he's talking about. If you're an RN, you're making really good money. And if you're an LPN, you're still making good money. The lowest of the wage gap in the nurses is the CNA. But we'll go on now.
So today I wanted to talk about, I just realized that I'm actually 1 year into owning my own business and working for myself. And I thought maybe I would share a little bit about how that went and how it started. And
I want you to pay attention to everything that's going to be said here, because what you're going to hear at the end is going to blow you away, because he's going to tell on himself here and you're going to catch him lying to you. Oh yeah, you're going to catch the deception right in your face now.
You know, kind of how it's going. So, I mean, year one was a little tough, as any business would be. And, you know, you kind of learn some stuff here and there, and you have a few months that sales aren't as good as you thought they were going to be, and you have some months where sales were amazing. But the one thing that I always take from this is the fact that I get to live my own life, and I get to do what I want to do whenever I want to do it. And there's a lot of value in that. So, you know, you guys all know I got 2 children, and I felt like I was missing a lot of interaction with them, a lot of things that they do on a daily basis, a lot of school activities and school functions and things of that nature. And I didn't like that. You know, I just felt like I was working nonstop all the time for somebody else, helping them achieve their dreams. And I want to achieve my dreams. I want to live my life the way that I want to live it. And I never really fit into the corporate world. You know, I would go and I visited my sister a couple times, and she works in town, and it would be a sea of cubicles, and I'd see all these old prairie dog heads popping up over top of the cubicles to say hi. And, you know, my whole view on a cubicle is you're not important enough to get an office, but we don't want you out here in Gen Pop just talking to each other. So we're going to put up these walls around you like stalls, and we're going to keep you from talking to each other. That's just not me, you know. So I took a lot of jobs in retail and sales and things of that nature. I sold cars for a while. I worked all through the automotive industry, and I quickly, you know, on average I'd probably last a year, maybe 2 years, and the jobs would just fall flat. And you know, I would master it, I'd get really good at it, and then I would get bored. And I would want something better than that, and I would want something to be able to do more, a promotion, something of that nature. And that's not how it works anymore. You know, hard work and dedication doesn't get you a promotion. Who you know and ass kissing is what gets you a promotion. So, you know, it started to get on my nerves. I started to realize that I was the common denominator between all these jobs, not the jobs, you know. So I learned that I'm just not fit to be an employee. I'm not an employee. I don't work well for other people. I work for myself. And maybe you're feeling that same way right now.
Okay, this is why I told you to pay attention. He just told you about a little bit about his past, and he told you all the different jobs he had. He was in retail. He was a car salesman. He worked in the automotive industry. Blah, 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 right? Now pay attention to this.
So, but now let's take a look at the most preferred majors for men, okay? So we want to talk about this gender gap, and that has nothing to do with your choices and what you're deciding to do with your life. Some of the top jobs here that don't cross over between the two. Mathematics, electrical engineering. It's not easy to get a degree in electrical engineering, ladies. I have one.
There you go.
I run my own little online business.
Now we're going to stop right there. Okay, right there. He literally told you it's not easy to get electrical engineering. Okay, let's listen to this again.
Degree in electrical engineering, ladies. I have one.
He has one. So, let's think about what he just said he's done for a living. So, do you see what I done there? I showed you his breakdown of the things that he's done for a living in years past. He has out his own mouth. Okay? The things he's done for a living. But yet right here he tells you he has a degree in electrical engineering. Hold on now. If this guy's got schooling in electrical engineering and actually has a degree in it, then I'm sure that's the field he would be working in. Yeah. And he'd be making really good money. Yeah. Oh, I know you're going to say, well, but he said he don't want to work for other people. You're not going to go in debt $40, $50, $60, $70,000 to become an electrical engineer and get a degree in it and not do something with it for a living. Common sense. He done told you what he's done for his living and why he became self-employed, his own business. Then in this video, he contradicts his own words and tells you he has this degree. Okay? Right there, I mean, I'm sorry. These two do not go hand in hand. This is ego-driven. This guy's ego's running him, and he don't remember one bullshit from the next bullshit.
It's not easy to get a degree in electrical engineering, ladies.
Yeah.
I have one.
It's not easy to get a degree in electrical engineering. Well, I'm sorry. If he has a degree in electrical engineering, this means he's got a college behind him. He's been in debt a lot of money to do it. And a lot of studying. And you're not going to just throw that out the door. No. And he's using this as the wage gap to show you these are high-paid jobs that women don't do that only men do. That says that men out-earn women. That's right. Most preferred majors for men. Okay? See, you see what he's doing here? He's giving you the breakdown, and he's lying to you because he's ego-driven. He's not being honest. Because he clearly just showed you what he done for a living with his life in all these years, and then he came up here and bullshitted you. Do you see how he forgot from one video to the next? He's not being honest. He's being run by his ego is what's happened here. I'm not saying he's told all lies, because no, he hasn't. He is telling some truth. There's no doubt about that. But he's also, see, it's like I said at the beginning of the video, power and greed absolutely corrupt the human mind. And there's another name that has to be added to power and greed. That's ego. Because ego absolutely corrupts, and you'll do anything to cover up for your ego. And that's exactly what you got going on here. And you wind up lying and deceiving people when you have an ego. And you don't remember one lie to the next lie. He fits in the zombie apocalypse. This is why this guy grew so big. Because all the dummies are following him. The zombies follow zombies. I hate to say that, but the truth is, zombies follow zombies. And that's what you got here. You have a zombie that all the other zombies are running to. If he was up here telling her truth, he wouldn't be here. With that, I'm out of here, guys.